versions of this, I think, that go up to 20 or so colors. And the nice thing about the plate is that it can accommodate either tubes or plates, and obviously we want to put the plates loaded for our work today. We then did the analysis using our Veluza G software. We'll now show a brief video that will illustrate some of the early portion of the workflow where we focus on the treatment of the cells. This video will demonstrate our automated flow cytometry workflow, specifically the initial compound solution and treatment of our cell culture plate. Shown here is the SpanH system as well as 7 tips is transferring our drug diluent into a plate that currently has the highest concentration of our compounds in the top row. For this demonstration, we are testing 3 compounds, and so we will have a final dose response curve of 24 wells each with 8 solutions of 3 compounds. Following this transfer, one of the new features of the iSeries is having a universal tip type. These tips can then be shared between both the SpanH pod and the multi-channel pod, which is very beneficial when only using partial tip boxes. Shown next is the selective tip feature of the multi-channel head, enabling us to load just 3 tips, which will then be used to do a row-wise solution in a 1-to-1 fashion of our 3 compounds. Once the serial solution is complete, as mentioned, we will have 24 total wells, 8 different concentrations of 3 compounds. We then load 24 tips using the selective tip feature on the multi-channel head, and these compounds will then be stamped into the cell plate shown in the position behind it. By doing this repeated stamping, not only are we able to do dose response curves, we're also able to establish time course of treatment by just processing partial plates. Look at some of the data. Again, this was the HCT116 cells. So following the treatment of the cells, we then automated the transitization using the same 24 tips in a selective tip fashion, and then added our staining reagents and did our analysis. So looking here, we're looking at a single time point at 48 hours after treatment. And shown on the x-axis is our Cas37 staining, and on the y-axis is our DRAC7 staining. And we basically picked just 3 out of our 8 treatments, sort of representing a high, medium, and low concentration of our compounds. In this particular case, we're looking at 5-fluorouracil treatment. And what you can see is as you decline from the highest concentration to the lowest concentration, the number of cells found at the dead and apathetic gates decrease, indicating our serial solution was effective. In fact, we can actually plot the dose response curves with all of the data that we achieved. And what you can see is that looking at the HCT116 cell line at 48 hours, you see that fluorosporine and camptothecin were far more effective at killing these cells than 5-fluorouracil. Looking at the IC50 concentrations of 63 nanomolar, 317 nanomolar, roughly 1,000-fold more effective than 368 micromolar, requires to get 50% cell death in the HCT116 cell line. So again, a nice illustration of a dose response, but we also wanted to look at different time courses. And shown here is our TRKM cell line. Again, this is the second cell line, so no transitization required. We simply added our reagents to their analysis. And this was looking at a single concentration of camptothecin treatment at 78 nanomolar. And what you can see is over time, the untreated cells shown in the Bible in the lower left quadrant, after 24 hours moved into the apathetic quadrant, so they're staying positive for Cas37, but still very few are staying for DRAC7. And then with an additional 24 and 40 hour treatment, you see more and more percentages of the cells moving into that quadrant in the upper right-hand quadrant. This can also be plotted out, and what you can see is a corresponding decrease in the viable cell count at 24 hours with an increase in the apathetic cells, followed by a subsequent decrease in the apathetic cells with an increase in the number of dead cells. So again, a nice illustration of time-dependent responses in this particular cell line as shown by flow cytometry. There's some additional considerations when thinking about flow cytometry. We've already touched on some of them. Some of the workflow will be determined again by the flow cytometer if you require tubes or plates. So it's nice to have the SpanH pod working with tubes. Again, this could be the entire workflow could be processed in tubes using the SpanH, or like I mentioned before, you can actually do the processing of plate and do a final transfer with the SpanH into the tubes in a very rapid fashion. It's certainly useful to have that multi-channel head for the suspension of adherent cells if that's required. But again, if folks are working on blood samples, etc., that may be less of a consideration. What we showed today was a relatively simple example of just an antibody type of assay. However, most of the more typical workflows would require antibody staining. That's more of a complex sample prep requiring washes and reagent exchanges. These types of workflows can definitely be aided by integrations. And shown on the lower right-hand side, we did have an iPipe system that we demonstrated the integration of the cytoplasm itself. So if you're processing large numbers of samples, the integration allows the analysis to begin right into completion of sample preparation without any intervention. We also have on the right-hand side of that image, you can see a microplate centrifuge that can be directly integrated onto the deck. And again, this is excellent for the sit-down and wash steps for those antibody-type protocols. We also have the option to integrate a plate washer if this would help assist things. However, multi-channel can essentially do most of this workflow by itself with the addition and removal of washes, etc. And there's also the ability to integrate incubators, either something small shown as the single plate incubator next to the cytoplasm in the image, or much larger, higher capacity incubators such as the Cytomax 2C. And this would be good for, say, long-term staining, or again, just similar treatments like we had, where you would treat cells with compounds, let them incubate, then bring the cells back up from the incubator and do your staining. Once again, I've already mentioned our SpanH software. This software will also be useful for this type of an application. For these higher throughput methods where again, you can process multiple plates in a staggered fashion. And once again, you can put in those type of time constraints for the steps that are essential. One example would be transitization. Obviously, you want to consistently treat your plates, because if you have longer transitization times, this can actually change the cell surface expression of some proteins more than typically during longer transitization treatments. So now we'll move on to another example of being transfection optimization. So why think transfection is relatively simple? Essentially just combining a lipid with a nucleic acid and putting it on top of cells. However, this is not necessarily simple for every cell type. And because of this, an optimization approach can help. Unfortunately, optimizing transfection conditions is not so simple. For this example, we showed you the design experiment or a DOE approach, where we changed the different lipids we were using. We tried different lipid concentrations of nucleic acids, and different cell numbers to see if we could identify an optimal condition for a variety of different cell lines. The problem with this approach, or the difficulty with this approach, is that first off, from an automation perspective, you need ways to create these combinations. And again, this is a nice example of how having the selective tip feature for the multi-channel head really enables some of these, because you can do row-wise or column-wise transfers, as well as any combination you would need. In addition, the other problem is that the conditions increase factorially, so it's very quickly as you add more and more conditions, the number of samples you need to test grow pretty dramatically very quickly, and we'll show an illustration of that as well. So the workflow that the first that we took to automating the transfection optimization is we started with an empty plate, and then tried 6 different lipid conditions, really 5 different commercial lipids that were available, Darmaplex 1 through 4, and lipopectamine, and one condition that had no lipids, so essentially on transfection control. We use our SpanH system to transfer these reagents from tubes into the upper row of the 96-well plate, and then also use the SpanH to just fill in the next 18 wells with media for serial solutions. Shown in the dark and light purple, we also use the SpanH to transfer 2 different concentrations of our nucleic acid. We did a siRNA control. And on the next step, we loaded 6 tips on our multi-channel selective tip, much like you saw earlier with the 3 tips for the flow cytometry example. And we did a serial solution in a row-wise fashion to get 24 different conditions of lipids 48 wells on the left to the 48 wells on the right, resulting in 48 different conditions of nucleic acid and lipid combinations. Following incubation to allow for transfection complexes to form, we then stamped those 48 conditions into a 384 well plate and then loaded 96 tips to transfer 2 different concentrations of cells, resulting in 15,000 or 7,500 cells per well. The final result was 96 different conditions, shown in the plate map below, and the 4 blue wells indicate the 4 replicate conditions for a given condition, such as this case was 0.8 milliliters of Thermosec 1 with 100 nanomolar of siRNA and 15,000 cells per well. So the next feature here is we're able to test 96 different conditions in quadruplicate for optimization in a single plate. If we tried to do this manually, my best estimate would be that it would take about 138 manual transfers, and instead the automation was able to achieve this in under 20 minutes. We then tested this approach on 3 different cell lines, the HCT116 cell that I mentioned before, and 2 additional cancer cell lines, the ATHN line, which is renal carcinoma, and the PANC1 pancreatic carcinoma cell line. We used SI glow green as our transfection marker. This is a fluorescently labeled siRNA. And 24 hours after transfection, we added our zinc direct 7 reagent as a marker for toxicity, and we then performed a media exchange using multi-channel again to try and reduce the amount of background we got from the SI glow green. We then did some imaging with the SpectraMax i3X with Max 300 imaging cytometer shown on the upper right. And this basically enables 4x images to be taken in bright field and 2 fluorescent wavelengths, 541 nanometers and 713 nanometers. And what this enabled us to do was to count total cells and to get an idea of our transfection efficiency by counting the number of green cells, indicating our SI glow green has been taken out. We also looked at toxicity, so the number of red nuclei divided by the total number of cells. We looked at whether we had either inhibited cell growth or whether we had lost any cells during our media replacement by comparing our transfected wells to our untransfected wells in the bright field images. And then we also looked at transfection consistency by looking at the CVs across our quadruplicate wells. So no need to really give the numbers here, but I'll basically summarize. The first set of wells on the left, green is good. This is basically an indication of getting over 30% transfection. The next set of columns, red is bad. This is basically any conditions that resulted in toxicity more than 5% above control well. The next set is brown is bad. It's kind of difficult to see, but again, this is where we had less than 80% of our untransfected cell count in a well. And then the final set of columns, light green is good. This is where our transfection CVs were below 10%. So again, really the take-home message here is we sort of identified the test conditions by bold squares around those wells. And the take-home here is that you can definitely see there are differences across the 3 cell lines. And we'll really identify those in the next slide. So shown here are kind of the resulting optimal conditions for each of the cell lines. And again, what you can quickly see is that there are differences between the cell lines. All 3 of them had different ideal lipids that were used, at different concentrations of siRNA. But through optimization, we were able to achieve roughly 50% transfection efficiency with all 3 cell lines with acceptable levels of toxicity, and with CVs below 10%. Some of the cell lines, like PANC1 and HCT116, were relatively transfection friendly, and then there were a couple different concentrations that might work. But the ATHN cells were significantly different and really were troublesome to transfect. And really, we didn't have to find an optimal condition to achieve that type of transfection efficiency. Some of the important take-home messages were that even as a simple change, even as a 2-fold change in lipid concentrations, you would see very dramatic effects. 2-fold too low, you would see very low transfection efficiency, basically nothing. 2-fold too high, you would see rampant toxicity depending on your cell line. So, yeah, really driving home the need to do this type of optimization approach. In addition, because we were able to work at 384 well formats, this helped reduce our reagent usage. So again, these are not cheap reagents, so obviously the more you can do in a smaller volume, the better. But to try and do this manually, this really adds a challenge to this, because again, it's very difficult to tell which wells you add reagents to, etc. And another nice thing is that we have this automated approach. It's very easily adapted to different nucleic acids or different acids. So if you wanted to adapt this to an overexpression type of assay, just change the reagents, possibly change your transfection reagents and add lipids instead of siRNAs, and it should essentially work. Alternatively, if you didn't want to use the fluorescent siRNA as a marker, instead you had some sort of phenotypic readout, it might just be required changing the assay approach at the end. So now we'll sort of conclude with basic cell culture approaches. And again, this is something that not necessarily everyone thinks about automating, because it's something that's typically done at the bench, but this really is something that can benefit from automation. There's a number of reasons for that, because there are a number of challenges associated with cell culture. The first is that it's basically very time consuming, and this can be because it recurs frequently. You're probably passing cells 2 to 3 times a week. If you have multiple cell lines going at the same time, the throughput can become really burdensome, and it's relatively inflexible. It really, cells don't really care if you have an all-day eating schedule, if they're confluent, they need to pass that day. In addition, there's high variability in this type of work. For example, sometimes you just have cells that you're waiting to plate later in the week, and so maybe you don't have that much work, but Monday may look very different than Thursday, or this week may look very different than next week. In addition, we know there are people in the lab who passage cells differently than I do. So, for example, we all sort of come up with our own approach for passaging cells, and it sort of just depends on how we were taught or maybe what the written protocol says. But we know there's inherent variability in the way people do things. And so, by starting automation, this variability can go away, because a lot of the times, this variability will show up in your future assays. And finally, it comes down to scheduling as well. When do I need cells? When am I going to plate my experiments? When I'm doing multi-day workflows, frequently, again, some of these cell culture assays may take days to weeks. What planning ahead do I need to do to ensure that I'm not here all day on weekends? And so these are just some of the considerations that hopefully get addressed through automation. For the work we've done, this will be done at I7, the same as most of the work that's been done previously, and it features a number of integrations which we'll show shortly. The work we did involved just culturing 2 adherent cell lines, CHO cells, which we'll show most of the data for, as well as HCT116, and the suspension cell line, the TRICAT cells. Basically, we were passaging the cells in 6 well plates, so essentially larger well plates to have enough cells to plate for experiments. We would pass a cell number every 2 to 3 days, and then we would plate these cells into 96 or 384 well plates for future assays as a proof of principle. The system itself utilized an integrated Cytomax 2C incubator to allow us to culture our cells directly and bring it onto the system in an automated fashion. It also had an integrated by-cell XR cell viability analyzer shown on the right, and this would enable us to counter cells at time of passaging. It also had a sibling out for larger well plates to basically allow the media to slide off to one side and enable us to remove that media without disturbing the cells. And we also had the integrated SpectraMax IPX with Pingmax that I mentioned earlier, and we used this for some imaging and cell counting assays, which we'll describe later. So now we'll show a video again that will really demonstrate how this workflow proceeds and how we utilize the different integrated instruments. So shown here is the automated approach we took to automating cell culture, starting from a larger 6 well plates and moving assays into 96 well formats. Shown here is the sibling out, and the advantage of this is that the media can be removed from the edge of the well without disturbing the adherent cells on the well. We use the spanning system with the P1000 to reach into the corner well and remove the media, and then another P1000 tip to dispense 800 microliters of tristan to remove the cells from the surface of the plate. This plate was then incubated at 37 degrees for 5 minutes, and this was done on a static LPA, but could easily have been done on the integrated incubator as well. We then used our optimized pipetting to pipette around the circumference of the well to make sure the cells were removed from the surface of the plate, and then also did a mixing step to ensure that the cells were distributed into a single cell suspension. A portion of these pre-suspended cells were then added to the sample cup for the integrated bi-cell cell viability analyzer, and the bi-cell returned a viable cell per pill number, which the biobank was then automatically able to use to calculate what volume of cells needed to be transferred to reach a certain number of cells. If the volume was over 1 mil, the capacity of the tip, this split volume step could be used to automatically transfer the larger volume. In this case, we dispensed 1 million cells into the subsequent well for continuing passages, and a second subset of cells was then added to a large multi-channel reservoir containing 100 mils of medium. One of the advantages of the large capacity multi-channel head is that we are now able to completely mix these large volume reservoirs and ensure the cells were evenly distributed throughout the reservoir. In addition, we were able to increase the throughput by using a multi-dispense feature, allowing us to plate 4 96 well plates with 200 microliters per well in a single transfer step. Again, this can be used to increase throughput and process numerous plates simultaneously or process as many plates in subsequent fashion as needed. So hopefully that gives you a pretty good idea of what automation looks like and what the workflow looks like. We'll now look at some of the data that came off the system. So the first question is just regarding the passaging from one fixed well to another. So all the work we'll show here was done using the Chinese hamster ovary cells grown in indoor conditions. And so demonstrated here is basically the results of one of our 6 well passages. Shown below is basically taking 4 regions of interest and taking 12 images for each region using the Spectramax Minimax imaging powder 24 hours after plating. And what you can see is that basically there's no clumps of cells, no clusters. It looks like we had really effective crystallization and mixing, and also it looks very evenly distributed across the 4 regions. So what you can see on the left is what I could achieve manually, and on the right is what the system was able to do in an automated fashion. We got very comparable percentages of confluence, right around 60%, and very low CGs in both cases, indicating again good dispersion across the wells. Looking across multiple passages now, so shown here are basically automated and a comparison and manual of what I was able to achieve. And we look at on the left at cell counts, and looking basically how consistent those were across passages, and also across automation versus manual. And on the right hand side is blind viability, and so we were able to achieve consistently above 9% viability in all our 6 per automated passages. More interesting is that actually, if you look, we were actually able to achieve results that were more consistent than I was able to achieve manually. So again, looking at TVs of 7.9% in an automated fashion when comparing cell counts across 6 passages was better than a 13.8% TV I was able to achieve manually. You'll also notice that there was slightly less cells on average in an automated well, and that's likely because when we have the plate in a tilted fashion, I can actually angle the pipette the way I can performing it manually. So there's that small 5 to 10%, probably 5% of the well that may not necessarily have written down during the automated passage. So we're likely plating the same number of cells, filtering the same number of cells, the game by heart is the same number of cells. But again, we can do this more consistently, and this consistency can hopefully lead to more consistent results with our assays. When it comes to actually plating, the video demonstrated plating into 4 96 well plates, but we actually decided to take it one step further and try and plate into 2 384 well plates, doing 100 microliters multi-dispenses, much like we demonstrated in the video. And so again, 100 microliters per well times 768 wells. What we were able to do is see is that we did again imaging after 24 hours, and we then looked to see if we get consistent distribution of the cells across the plates. So eventually that our mixing in the reservoir works if we get roughly equivalent cells in all regions of the plate, and that's really 2.2% or lower across all the columns and all the rows across both of the plates. And finally, we looked at how consistent was a multi-dispense, basically where we get the same number of cells for each dispense in all of the 8 quadrants. And when we compare the average counts per quadrant, we saw TG less than 7%. So again, very consistent passaging and plating, hopefully resulting in consistent assay results. Another consideration that we touched on earlier is multi-day workflows. So for example, we just plated our 96 or 384 plates. How long do these plates need to incubate? Is there an additional treatment? How long can we assay them? These things all have to be taken into consideration because very rarely is this a single day of approach. So when automating these types of approaches, there's a number of requirements. One main one is that you need to have good resource management and scheduling, and it's something like ADF software, where again, when you're processing multiple plates, it will find the most efficient way to process those plates in batch-wise fashion. It also requires sample tracking. You need to know where your samples are at any given time in the workflow, and you also need to know if your biobank will be available on a given day. So if you have user leads, multi-day workflows, or steady process management software to help schedule these things on a calendar, so you can ensure that, again, what you need to come down on the weekend is the instrument already being taken out for other assays on a given day. And finally, you need good data tracking, and this is where our data acquisition and reporting tool DART comes into account. Basically, these types of multi-day assays make you data of little islands of automation, right, where you'll bring it in on day 0, see the cells, then it's data, bring it back on day 3, treat them. DART is basically our tool that every time that plate comes in, it can read the barcode and know everything that's been done to that plate to date, and all of that information is carried forward. So that essentially your treatment and your eventual assay result will all be located in the same database on the same well. So to wrap up the automated cell culture portion of the talk today, hopefully I showed you that we were able to handle larger well plates and slabs using the same capabilities. So having a combination of pipetters to span for those 6 well plates and the multi-channel for the microfiber plate really is valuable for this type of workflow. There are some caveats. One is that you may need to do some optimization for taking a new cell line. One example is the frequency of passing it. So for example, when you're passing the Zircon cells, we pass them every 2 days and they were completely hatched. The show cells, when we try to pass them every 2 days, things actually die off a little bit, and so that's why we back it off to 3 days. Another consideration is the trypsinization workflows for adherent cells. One is just the trypsinization time. 5 minutes of incubation work rate for the show cell line, but the HCT116 cells were a little more aggregated, and so you might want to consider extending that time closer to 8 minutes. In addition, the volume that you transfer to the next well is somewhat dependent on just your cell size. For example, if you have a confluent HCT116 well, you can fit about 5 million cells per well, as opposed to the show cell where a confluent well only has 2.5 times 10 to the 6. So if you're transferring 1 million cells to the next well, and you're concerned about residual trypsin, you're actually transferring twice the amount of volume in the show cells as you are in the HCT116. So if you do find that you do either spin out any of those reagents, obviously there's automated solutions for that as well. You can do media exchanges and not have to worry about residual trypsin. And finally, it comes down to next steps as well. As I mentioned, the HCT116 cells were a little more lumping than the show cell were, so we basically increased the number of mixes that we performed. Another consideration is the plating needs. One of the nice features of Plymac is that you're able to do data-driven decisions. So for example, if your cells haven't grown as much as you thought they might, and you're already in the middle of passaging them, you can actually just have the dip that statement indicate that you don't have a high enough number of cells to do your cell plating. You can just go ahead and passage that and push it on for another couple days without wasting all the plastic. So that basically wraps up the talk. We'll kind of try to bring it back to the simplicity, efficiency, adaptability, and reliability, and see if we've hopefully shown some examples of how you apply to cellular applications. When it comes to simplicity, having that volume splitting feature, where again, it really doesn't necessarily care what the volume is to be transferred. You don't necessarily split any sort of traditional statements restricting. Whatever the results for the bi-cell come back, we can always just basically have the transfer, split the number of transfers entities to get those correct volume. Also having the integration speeds more direct. Obviously, you can fit a lot of instruments in a smaller footprint, and not necessarily requiring any additional robotic transport to access these devices really increases the simplicity of those types of integrated systems. When it comes to efficiency, we have the high capacity deck. There's just more room for real estate to work with, so you can really have these more highly complex workloads as you need. You can all get on the same map of the same deck. And there's also the ability to do large volume transfers with a multi-channel head, as we demonstrated for the plating video. And obviously, this can really just make it a more efficient workflow. You can process more plates in a more rapid fashion. When it comes to adaptability, hopefully I've shown that we were able to automate a pretty diverse number of workloads on the same system. Really kind of